Hi, I'm Sarah Cowgill, along with Andrew Moran, Dave Patterson, Graham Noble, and John Clark. And this is The Conservative Five, an online TV production of Liberty Nation News. The Department of Government Efficiency co-chair, Vivek Ramaswamy, has stepped aside to launch his Ohio gubernatorial campaign. That leaves Elon Musk holding the reins, as opponents are saying Musk is a shadow president. Ooh, the boogeyman. Can we even imagine Trump's ego allowing this to happen? No. So maybe they're just in it for the good of the order and not world domination. Politics has such random jargon, and the one thing I cannot stand is this shadow presidency being parroted by the masses. What are we even looking here? What are we looking at, Graham?
Well, yeah, Sarah, it's all rather silly because especially when you think that the mantra for, well, basically since, 2016, the mantra from the left has been Trump is or wants to be a dictator. Now, I've read a history book or two, and I don't recall any dictator in the history of the world allowing somebody kind of to sit behind them calling the shots and they just act as the figurehead. That's not how wannabe dictators operate. So what is it? Does Trump want to be a dictator? In which case that obviously then Elon Musk is not the shadow president or not. But, originally the Department of Government Efficiency wasn't even going to be an official government department. It has basically become that now. It's now within the executive office of the president. And nobody seems to exactly have a clear picture of what it's going to do.
They're going to do?
And in fact, even Trump's executive order didn't make it out particularly clear. It just said fulfill the president's agenda, which is basically obviously cutting bureaucracy, cutting waste, cutting spending. It's going to be interesting to see how it all turns out. But no, Elon Musk is not. He's way too busy with firing off rockets into space and building more exploding electric cars and stuff like that. I mean, he's way too busy to be running the country as well.
He's got other things going on, I guess. Yeah. Dave, where does this leave the government accounting office? I mean, aren't they in charge of trying to keep things straight?
Well, if you're talking about another quasi-government enterprise swooping in as an interloper in what the GAO considers, its province, well, maybe there are some ruffled feathers. But the mandate is larger than fraud, waste, and abuse, I think. The GAO would probably never see its job as suggesting that, for example, notionally, the Department of Transportation moved to North Dakota. But DOGE would be well within its remit to suggest such a thing. And if it saved money and it made the overall government enterprise more efficient. So to really save the U.S. taxpayer real money, DOGE cannot trim around the edges. That just has never worked. These salami slice approaches to efficiencies have never been effective. This new efficiency arm of the Trump administration, I think, has to evaluate the purpose, the contribution of whole functions, divisions, and departments. And if they do not support the agenda of the president, dissolve them, because as people like to say, if the juice is not worth the squeeze, don't squeeze.
Does this mean my frog mating study for $1 billion goes away?
I think so.
Then we get it. I think we need to know this. Don't we need to know that?
Well, frogs everywhere. Tadpoles.
Frogs are everywhere. Andrew, since we're talking about cutting things back, what's going to become of the Festivus report? That going to be just something that disappears into thin air?
Okay, well, first of all, I'll say I don't disagree anything that Dave said. And if DOGE does anything, one of the first things it should
do. Lord, are you two going to fight?
Bro, it's target the Pentagon. That's the first thing they should do. But anyway, I'm going to be the resident skeptic here. I'm going to say DOGE will not achieve its intended objective. So to answer your question directly, Sarah, there will be another Festivus report later this year. So no matter how much I love Elon Musk, he will not slash $2 trillion in spending. He even admitted this himself in an interview. He said that it's more realistic that the DOGE is going to find about $500 billion in savings. It's a good start, but it's not going to go, as Dave alluded to, it's not going to go after the meat and potatoes. The bureaucratic state is too big. There's no way that you're going to stop $20,000 in drag queen shows in Peru. That's not going to happen. And if you look at the meat and potatoes of the budget, let's look at the Congressional Budget Office. That's the nonpartisan budget watchdog. It recently released its 10-year budget outlook. And let's look at 2025 alone. $4.3 trillion in mandatory spending, Medicare, Social Security, Medicaid. $1.85 trillion discretionary spending, and $1 trillion in net interest payments. That is what's driving the fiscal deterioration in the United States, is the continued increase in mandatory spending. By the time that budget window is closed, mandatory spending is about $7 trillion, about 2/3 of the budget. Cumulatively, interest payments are about $13-14 trillion over the next 10 years. Overall, even before the Trump tax cuts, you're looking at $24 trillion increase in the national debt over the next 10 years. This is absolutely astounding. DOGE will not tackle any of this. They're not willing, because Trump even said he's not going to touch Social Security. He's not touching Medicare. Russell Vought, his top budget chief, he admitted the same thing in his 2 Senate hearings. Not going to happen. So DOGE, may put together some, easy victories, but the large scale of things, it's not gonna make much of a difference. And I've got on record this. I've said this on LN Radio. I've said this in Swaponomics. I've said it before on C5. So put me on record.
I think you put yourself on record there. Okay, I'm going to circle around right back to Elon Musk and what he's going to do. Where is he even going to start, Clark? Where is he going to just go, I am going to whack this program right now?
Well,
Probably with
I
dogs.
I think the frogs could go, and the Peruvian drag queens, the low-hanging fruit. They may find it, but as I think I have to agree with Andrew, they're not going to take the big bite they hope to because of entitlement spending. I do think they should look at the Pentagon. I'm sure Dave would agree. Every agency, as Dave said, needs to be analyzed for efficiencies. The idea that he's a shadow president is just absurd. Of course, there are all kinds of people there. The same people are saying that Elon Musk was doing Nazi salutes. So that shows. Sure.
What is that about? Oh,
Yeah,
my
well, let's
God.
I didn't mean to go there. To me, that's just shows how extreme they are.
All right, you went there, so
bloodshed.
I mean,
Well, it was just an aside.
everybody's losing their mind.
It was an aside, but so I think that there is a lot of negativity out there. In fact, I think Andrew is being a little bit negative. For this reason, I think there is fraud within the entitlements. I think you have to start somewhere. And I think right now in this environment, if Donald Trump said that Elon Musk was going to help him put out the fires in California, and then the detractors say, oh, you can't put out the fires in California. They're mandatory entitlements. You still got to try. And Musk has shown that he's moved past the rhetoric and towards the pragmatism. He's not just going to eliminate jobs, which is only about 2% of the budget, but that's still potentially pork or waste. Sometimes they don't show up to work, so they need to go, just like any business. And Musk has a history of firing people. He won't have that authority. He's largely there in an advisory capacity. He'll be working with the Office of Management and Budget and other agencies as directed in the EO to proceed, I think, more cautiously than just a sweeping change. And, Donald Trump also said, I believe, that this was going to have to do with increasing the efficiencies of government. That's certainly something within his purview of his expertise. He's an accomplished person with IT. So I think he's also indicated that he'll be cautious. And there are suggestions that he will put DOGE personnel in all these agencies so they can be there for a while. Because that's really what you need to do, I think we agree, is get boots on the ground. You don't just come in like one more giant bureaucrat, start cutting everything, because you create harms and histrionics. So I think a cautious approach, I think it's really needed. And I don't know how anybody can be negative against that. And I would say that probably everybody here is more knowledgeable of history than I am, but I would have to agree with Graham that in all my study of history, I've never seen a dictator dance to village people and cut cakes. So I just think the whole, it's just, I think that
You don't know what Kim Jong-un does behind closed doors, though. You never know.
As soon as we get out of here today, guys, we're going to crank up the village people and do the dance, though. I'm just saying.
I'm just going to throw in one quick thing. I have the best idea for actually making the Department of Transportation more efficient, and that's what you do. And what you do is you force the entire Department of Transportation, half of it, to operate out of a couple of rail cars and half of it to operate out of the back of a couple of 18-wheelers, and you have the whole Department of Transportation traveling around the country by road and rail all year, permanently. And they'll soon sort out the transportation problems when they have to experience that themselves.
They have to deal with it, and that is a perfect idea. I think you need to send that off to the Donald. I don't know, but cutting government waste is a good thing, right? I mean, come on. And I think it depends on what administration has what pet projects they want to accomplish, and we'll probably never get where most Americans would like to be on the budget. But hey, let's give it a whirl. I say go for it, Elon Musk. See what you can do. We'll keep you in the loop, guys. Thanks for watching, and thanks, panel. That's it for our Conservative 5 panel today. Check out our other C5 shows and segments on your favorite video platform, YouTube, Vimeo, Rumble. We're on them all as well. Liberty Nation News has its own Roku channel where you can see all of our TV productions. Now, Liberty Nation does not endorse candidates, campaigns, or legislation, and this presentation is no endorsement. I'm your host, Sarah Cowgill. Thanks for joining us today. For the latest news and commentary, your choice for free thinking, free speech, libertynation.com.